Welcome back to The Wave. This is our 4th episode now, and we're very excited for today's episode. We are going to have a business spotlight with First Priority Credit Union. Steve Borgerson is going to be joining us today to talk a little bit more about his company and what they do in our community. Very excited for that. I'm going to have our events chair, Amanda Bonasoro, share some of the updates about upcoming events for us.
Awesome. So our upcoming events, we have on September 15th, Chatting with the Chamber, Coffee Chamber Chat with Bon Appetit, and that will be from 9:30 to 11:30 at the Chamber office. And then fun and exciting, Fall Festival is happening on September 30th. We are actually going to be hosting the business vendor section. So we would love to have you join us if you are a business in the area or just would like to show off what you do, then we would love to have you. There is going to be a vendor application on the website, and we will keep an eye out for more information on that. And then finally, we are just scheduling some headshots. So if you are in need of a new headshot, the Chamber is going to be hosting that, and it's going to be on Friday, September 22nd. Time is to be announced, but keep an eye out. We're going to have some sign-up sheets. We did it last year, and it was a great little turnout. So if you're in need of that, again, Friday, September 22nd.
Love it.
Love it.
Thank you, Amanda. And Erica, who's our board member spotlight today? Who's going to be joining us?
We have attorney Francisco Rosa of Rosa Taing.
Love it.
Okay. Yes, I'm very excited. And then I don't think I have any further updates today.
Awesome.
I think we're very excited for the mayoral debate coming up this month, as we all know. And the gala. So I know Amanda's our events lady, but I do have to add, guys, go to the website. We're setting up the pay links. There's many ways to do it. We're here for you. Contact us if you have questions. Gala sponsorships. Get your ticket. This is going to be amazing, guys. We're having it at the Marriott Spring Hill Suites, 400 Ocean Ave. Everyone knows it, overseeing the beautiful Revere Beach. And the food's going to be great. It's going to be catered, Amanda, Mission Beach House?
Yeah, Mission Beach House. We're excited for it.
So guys, we can't reiterate it enough. This is our time to really show off our businesses, really show off the development of Revere. We cannot wait. Get your ticket today because they're going fast.
A night around town. Last year it was sold out, and I'm anticipating the same this year. So, love it. Thank you, guys. Well, we got Steve waiting in the wings, so let's bring him on in.
Come on in, Steve.
And a warm welcome to our Spotlight business guest, Steve Borgerson of First Priority Credit Union. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here. It's great to be a member of the Chamber.
Yeah.
Glad to have you.
Appreciate you guys being a part of the Chamber very, very much. Why don't you tell some of the background of yourself and what First Priority Credit Union does and how long the business has been around and a little history, so we can get to know you better.
I'll start going way back. I've been in banking for a little over 30 years. I started way back with Bank of Boston. They're long gone, and I've been through a couple of community banks. Been with Rockland Trust Company for a number of years and Meeting House Bank, and I've found my way to First Priority Credit Union, and it's really nice. I really like I've always liked the small bank atmosphere, the credit union atmosphere, more about the customers, more about the community. So I really enjoyed it. I've been here 4 months, and it's been great, and I love the East Boston and Revere communities.
Awesome.
Where are your locations primarily?
We've got 2 locations. Our headquarters is in East Boston, right on Swift Street.
Awesome.
And we've got an office in back of South Station down in Boston. So the credit union was originally a post office credit union.
Oh, wow.
And a number of years ago, they kind of branched out, and it's more, footprint and community based now. But we've got a lot of postal members, and it's great. We have a branch right in the General Mail facility, which is open till midnight if you ever want to mail something late. Isn't that cool?
Wow. There you have it, everyone. Open till midnight.
Breaking news.
So I guess
wait till Christmas.
Some of the people out there that don't know, what's the main difference, I guess, between a credit union as opposed to other financial institutions?
I think, a credit union and a very, small community bank are really very similar these days. Like I said, it's not solely for the postal workers anymore, but for the community. Community banks, they don't have a footprint guideline. So we do have certain guidelines where somebody either has to work in our footprint, buy a house in our footprint, or live in our footprint right now. So there are some criteria that not everyone can meet. But other than that one thing, the products, dedication to the community, all the same. Small non-public community banks, credit unions that aren't public, that's the big difference between a lot of banks, is that we're not there for a profit center. We don't have stockholders. We don't have dividends. We need to make a profit to keep going, right. But we're only there for our members. And that's an amazing thing. Well, that might mean having an extra teller in line so people aren't waiting. If we have extra profits, that might go back into the community some way. We have goals and we need to stay afloat. But that's the big thing, is we really are part of the community. And I think the small credit unions, the banks, they really understand that the people walking in, that's what you're there for. Yeah. That's not only your customer, that's your owner. So it's always been a good environment. I've been in some bigger banks, and Rockland Trust, great bank, very community oriented. I had a lot of time there, but they're a lot bigger now, and it gets challenging. And the community banks, I love it. The credit unions, we're there for the people, and it's great meeting folks like you. Meeting the business owners next door. Mm-hmm. A lot of times the bigger banks, the small mom and pop shops, they get left in the dirt. They're not a big enough an account for some of the bigger banks, and that's our bread and butter. And it's great because that's the people in the community.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing, and and like you said, there's so much value that you bring, especially to those smaller businesses in the community that need that help and that accessibility.
Yeah, and it really is a partnership. It really is.
Awesome.
What would you say you're most proud of in your career?
Well, I've been in lending really most of my career. Recently, I've branched out and run the bank or the credit union and run other teams. But one of the things I like a lot is I've taught probably 500 first-time homebuyer seminars, and wow. It's great watching a first-time homebuyer, the excitement and educating them and making, taking the stress away and getting them to their first home. It's such a good feeling and rewarding. But I think the thing I'm most proud of is I've been in lending and banking for 30 years, so I've seen a lot of cycles. I've seen, the 90s had some big ups and downs, and in 2008, I went through the foreclosure crisis, and one of the things came out at the time I was working in Brockton. And Brockton was one of the cities that was hit the hardest by the foreclosure crisis all over the country. And at the time, there was a lot of short sales, there was a lot of foreclosures, and I was having lunch with a gentleman named Steve Pike, a colleague from another small bank, and I said, Jesus, we should create a program to help these people. Maybe we can get the banks to create a pool of money and lend in Brockton and allow people to get a special rate, get no money down, get some people into these houses and end this foreclosure crisis. So that night I went home and I wrote up a program. We pitched it to the 4 or 5 banks in Brockton. They were all on board. And then I pitched it to Mass Housing. And I said, hey, we've got this program. We're going to call it Buy Brockton. And, we think it'll really help the community. It'll really help the foreclosure crisis. This town is really getting hard hit. And Mass Housing was all on board. So they bought into it. And, they ended up rolling that out. I think there might be 6 or 7 of them now. Wow. There's a Buy Lawrence, a Buy Lynn, and they really rolled it out. So that's probably helped thousands of people. Yeah. So I think if I had to pick one thing, that's probably the thing I'm most proud of.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's really important what you're saying, is helping the first-time home buyer get into their first piece of real estate, right? What is, I guess, your outlook, first priorities outlook on the real estate market now, given interest rates?
Well, it's funny, and I guess I'll loop it right. It really applies to anybody, but I really will link it to first-time home buyers, because I've been doing this a long time, and normally you're sitting with a first-time home buyer and you ask them what they're paying for rent, and they'll say $1,500, and they'll do a payment, and it might be $2,000. It's kind of a stretch. Like, well, I think I can do it for my own home, and you talk about budgeting, but this year and the last couple of years, is, I don't know what you want to call it, a phenomenon, but it's the rental market is crazy.
Yep.
The housing market is crazy too, but for the first time, it's cheaper to buy a house than it is to rent. And that's really unusual. And what it does is, so many places are turning into condos. So many places are getting bought and turned into the big luxury condos. There really is, I guess I refer to it as housing insecurity.
Yep.
Think about, a lot of the blue-collar families around here, husband, wife, couple kids, and they're renting. They could get a call any day and say, hey, your rent's going up $1,000. We're selling the house. You got to move. And that's how people are ending up homeless, And so, the market today, it's tough, but it's still, I can sit there and say to somebody, what are you paying for rent right now? Well, guess what? You can afford a $400,000 house. So let's go find you one. So, but it really is, people coming to me and the rates are high, and they are, and prices are high, and they are. There's a lot of reasons for that. But I would tell anyone, if you can afford it, buy right now, because, if you get a mortgage, the rates are high. So you're at a 7% or whatever, and
right.
That's $300 or $400 more than 4%. But the rates will come down in a couple of years.
Right.
If you can afford the payment today and you can buy a house, that first night you walk in and sit down, and there is that housing insecurity is gone. You know what your payment is forever. No one's kicking you out. You're not going to get that phone call. So I think the homelessness attached to the housing market is spiraling, and I think there really is a need for affordable housing, but it is the time to buy. It really is. No matter what the rates are, if you can afford it, take the stress out of your life. No more, phone call in the middle of the night and no place to live.
Right. You can sleep that night.
Yeah, you can. And the payment's only going to go down as rates go down and you refinance.
Exactly. So you would say, get your foot in the door.
Yeah, I'd say, I don't have a very great picture of what the economy is going to be doing. I do think we're going to go into a recession, and I don't just base that on my own history. I can't attribute that to anybody, but the rates, I think, were too aggressively raised. So, historically, what we saw in times of, going in or out of a recession was a very slow rate increase and a very slow decrease. And they started using the interest rates to really control the economy. Probably, I believe, Alan Greenspan probably did it. But my first 6 months in this business was early 1987, right out of college, and rates went from 10 to 8 to 11 to 9. They were all over the place because they were just running wild. They didn't use it to control it. And they figured out, hey, interest rates are a great way to control the economy, to keep it from getting too heated, to keep it from getting out of a recession. And all that's true. But what's happened here is in a year, rates have gone up, from 2.5 to 7. And if you look at some of the housing stats lately, the supply right now is down like 41% from a year ago. And there was no supply a year ago, right? So what's happening is rates are so high, and you have this generation of people from maybe age 65 to maybe 75 or 80. They're living in a 4-bedroom house, could be anywhere in the state. And their kids are gone. Maybe one house might be a widower, they might both be there, but they don't need that house. Normally they'd be downsizing. But they have a $100,000 mortgage at 3%, and they've got to go buy at the peak, and they got to get a rate of 7, and it's like, yeah, we'll just wait. We'll just wait 10 more years. We're fine. The stairs are tough. I got a walker, But that's what's killed the supply, and it's one of the causes of inflation. It's food, it's housing, and it's wages are really what's driving this inflation, and it's really atypical of a lot of the economic events of the last bunch of years. And so raising the rates, it's not doing anything. Raising rates was supposed to kind of kill the housing market, bring prices down. It's doing the exact opposite. Yeah. And it's doing that because if they'd stopped around 5.5, people would be downsizing. They wouldn't be scared. Houses would still be on the market, and people would be buying. And they'd be meeting the goals of what the rate increases were supposed to do. But by overshooting it, it's really hurt the market. Companies are now feeling it. They're laying people off. And one of the things, you can hear someone say, oh, soft landing. and you can hear them say, that last rate increase did it because the numbers are coming down. Well, the problem is the numbers that came down last week, that was from the rate increase 6 months ago, 7 months ago. Yeah. So if you think we're done, that's not a good thing because we got next month and the next month, and we got 6 more rate increases that are going to continue to hit on the economy. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope we're not in a recession, but I think we will be at the end of the year, and I think rates will start dropping. And that's, if they clean that up quick enough, it won't be that bad.
Yeah.
But,
gotcha.
that's my 2 cents.
Oh, I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I guess my question for you is, so if somebody comes in and says, hey, I want to join First Priority and has questions about buying.
Yeah.
So how do you handle that? How does that work?
Let's go right in there and talk. And it's funny, usually the first thing I say is, and it's true, is, look, everyone wants to get pre-approved. I'm like, look, what I'll give you, you don't want. You couldn't afford it, So, the Fannie and Freddie Mac will give you a house if your housing payment and your debts equal 50% of your gross income. So, unless you have maybe a spouse that's not on the deed or they're not on the mortgage, unless you have someone who's self-employed and there's a lot of cash involved, anyone, the normal person. So take let's say one person making $120,000. That's $10,000 a month. So can you imagine writing checks out for $5,000 and then having the taxes come out of your paycheck, your cell phone? It's impossible. Right? It's impossible. So that's the first thing I do is don't worry about what I'll give you. You couldn't afford it. And if they say they're self-employed, I'll say, okay, we'll change the conversation. What do you want to pay?
Right.
What are you paying for rent? And again, you pick up the paper and see, these millennials in their late 20s coming out, they're working for a few years. They're paying $4,000 a month to live in Southie. I'm like, my God, my mortgage payment is $2,600 and $800, that's taxes. Yep. Like $4,000, that's a $1 million house. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Different mentality, different reality.
Yeah, and so it really just comes down to I just break it down like that. And I've been doing this a while, and I tend, maybe not a tactic that everyone uses, but I just tend to listen and talk. What can you afford? Well, let's try that. Let's see what that is in a house and see how they react, and just chat.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then my next question for you would be, I'm sure you guys have a lot of experience working with business owners.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you don't mind touching a little bit on how you, First Priority, kind of work with small business owners in the community.
I think, it goes back to that partnership. We're here for them. They call up any number of, if it's a business owner looking for a $50,000 line, even a $100,000 loan, they really won't get the time of day from a lot of the big banks. And I'm not really saying that as a dig or a criticism, but when they're doing $40 million loans, it's no, any bank, would rather do $1 million loan than 4 little ones. I mean, that's just the cost of doing business. But when the scales go up, a $40 million loan or a $300,000 loan. But I think people struggle. Then they find the credit union, or any community bank, and they're like, wow, you're here for me. I'm like, hey, you're my bread and butter. Mm-hmm. And what's really nice about that is I had a gentleman who owns an eyeglass place in Lower Mills call me up. And he knows, where I am. And, for a while I was president of a mortgage company. I wasn't doing commercial loans, but customers would call me up. If they want the mortgage, sure, they'd call. But sometimes they'd just, hey, I'm thinking about doing this in my business, and I want to get your 2 cents. Because it becomes a partnership. You become friends. And, you're not there to, set anybody up to fail. You're there to give them. The credit unions, again, we're there for the community. So you might look at our rates and our products and think, oh my God, that's a really good deal. Is that your special? So no, that's every day, because that's, we're more competitive because, again, we don't need to make that much of a profit. Right. I can have better rates. I can have smaller teller lines. But you really do grow to a partnership. So I have people that will call me every time they do something, and I might say, hey, go that way. They know I can't do it, but I'll still help them. And that's the kind of partnerships you create. And you walk in the credit union, and people care. So it really is. It's enjoyable.
Awesome.
That's great. No, I think you made it clear what the distinction is of first priority credit union.
And there's a place for everybody. Like I said, I can't do a $40 million. I can't even do a $5 million loan. That there's specialists out there.
Gotcha.
You know, we're there for the little people, and that we're a little bank. We're 2 branches. You know, so that's okay. We're there for. I work with an appraiser who's a one guy, and I tend to work with attorneys that aren't big firms, because the little guys stick together, and we help the little guys in the community, and it's very fulfilling. And we all do good business from it.
Yeah, right?
We're a little guy too, so
That's
we're
right.
glad to have you guys and be little guys together.
Yeah, it's nice. I love Revere. I live in Quincy. I love it. Love the small, hard-working town.
We love having you guys, and we love having you guys as members. We love what you're doing for the community. We're actually, right before the show, you were filling us in on some recent community events that you guys have done, breakfasts, things like that.
We're having a block party. It might be over by the time this films, but Saturday we're giving out backpacks to every kid who's going back to school that wants one. School supplies.
Where's this happening?
It's happening at our branch in Swift Street.
Okay.
There's going to be a little petting zoo showing up, and a bouncy house, and we're going to be cooking hot dogs and giving out backpacks.
Wonderful.
Love it.
I love it.
If you have any infographics on it, send it along our way. We'll definitely try to spread the
I
word.
will do that.
Awesome.
I'm sure we do.
Awesome.
And stop by.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Love it.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
That's it. Was there anything else that you wanted to add about first priority? Any upcoming promos or anything that you wanted to share?
You know what? I think, like I said before, our rates, our deposit rates, our loan rates, it's kind of always a promo. So I think people, and these days, Bank of America is closing every branch on Saturdays on Saturday. They have 4 branches. They've closed every one of them on Saturdays. So I know they have a reason, and it's probably valid for their size. But people they say, oh, they're small, but you don't need to go into a bank anymore. But if you want to, we're there. We're there. All the services are there, and the credit union. If you want good service, you want a partnership, give us a try. And there's always a trigger event with a big bank. There's always something. We try to get our word out. We try to spread it out. We do little things in the community. We leave our little candy jars in businesses with our name on it, because no one just, I think I'll just join a new bank today. There's always a trigger event, and if you don't know, you're not educated about what your options are, whether it be another big bank, a community bank, or a credit union, you need to see the people in the community. You need to be aware. So when that trigger event is, you go to make a deposit on a Saturday, and they're not there.
Right.
If they know of someone else, they come over. If it's not, I don't know what I can do, and then it kind of dies down. So it's key for, I think, all businesses, get the word out, let people know what you can do. So when there is that trigger event, hey, we're there, right? Make the move. You'll save some money.
Well, there you have it, everybody.
All right. Thank you so much. This has been
Steve Borgerson, First Priority Credit Union. Thank you for coming on today.
Thanks for having me. I love the chamber. I love getting out in Revere and meeting everyone.
great.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you very much. That was a great conversation with Steve Borgerson of First Priority Credit Union. And now, our board member spotlight for episode 4. I'd like to warmly welcome Francisco Rosa, attorney at Rosa Taing Law, with 2 offices in Revere and Lowell.
All right, welcome. Today we have our board member, attorney Francisco Rosa, and owner of Rosa Taing Law. How are you today?
Good, thank you.
Very good. Well, thanks for coming. It's a pleasure to have you.
Well, we love you.
Yes. So.
Just a member of our board of directors, but also, just let's get into it. Tell us about your business, Rosa Taing Law.
I graduated law school in 2012, got licensed in 2013, and immediately out of school started a business with my partner, Andrew Tang. We met in school as classmates, and basically we found an opportunity to start a business and start a law practice.
Love it,
amazing.
love it. So what kind of law do you practice?
I focused in real estate law, immigration work, and family law.
Wow.
My partner focuses also on immigration law, family law, but he also does a little more work on personal injury and bankruptcy.
That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah,
So you guys
that's really
cover
cool.
a lot of areas.
A lot of bases.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we focus only on civil litigation and civil work. We don't touch anything criminal, which just means it's a different area of law. Although when we come across people that are looking for help, I mean, we offer our guidance, support, and kind of push them along to find the right help. I mean, one of the things that people have a lot of difficulty in is finding the right lawyer for what they need help in. And surprisingly, if most people have trouble in that, even we have trouble directing people. But that's why we have kind of like an open door for consultations, meetings, questions, and we've gotten a lot of work from that, and we've been working for 10 years now.
That's amazing. Wow. Awesome.
Now, where are you guys located?
So we originally started our office in Lowell, right at 1550 Middlesex Street. My partner is a resident of Lowell, and that's how he pulled me over there. But we also focused right from the very beginning in real estate, and then the Boston area has obviously got a lot more work and a lot busier. So we quickly opened up an office right at 385 Broadway on the 3rd floor. We needed it so that we could meet people locally, because we knew that it'd be difficult to convince people to travel all the way to Lowell for closings.
Yeah.
And that's the area that I focused a lot in, and that's the area that's grown a lot. So I've been there, I think, over 7 years in that place.
Oh, nice.
So we opened it pretty quick after we started, and we do a lot of work in both offices, and I split my time. It requires a little bit of a commute, but it's working, so we got to keep doing what works.
So you're able to cater to the North Shore over there as well as over here in Suffolk County.
Yeah, I mean, real estate has changed in the last few years. A lot of it can be done electronically. We are able to record transactions electronically with a few exceptions. So in reality, we're able to help people throughout the state. I'm not a licensed attorney in New Hampshire, but I do have a closing license for New Hampshire. So I can handle real estate transactions in New Hampshire as well. We don't have as much volume in that area, but we do come across a few.
Well, the closings are important in real estate, right? We like the closings.
I would say so.
Yeah.
What do you think is the most rewarding part of your job?
One of the rewarding parts about my job, especially in real estate, I always say that it's happy work, because when people think of lawyers, they generally tend to think that people are having problems, and they're usually difficult problems. I always say, if it's not a big enough problem, you don't need a lawyer.
Yeah.
But in real estate, it changes, because you're helping people achieve a goal that they've worked for years or they've had in mind for a long time. And the reason I say it's happy work is because when I'm able to successfully close on a transaction, people walk away happy that that is the end of the process.
Yeah.
So it's my goal to make sure that they sign off on all the lender documents, make sure that we record everything, and as soon as that happens, title for a property has changed hands, and the buyers are entitled to the keys and possession of the property. So it's a new step in their life, or a new phase where they're looking forward to moving, starting in a new home, living in a new home. You know, it's something that they've worked hard for a long time. So, like I said, it's happy work because it's the result of all their work.
I love it.
Yeah. And then a little bit about you. So, Francisco, where'd you grow up?
Okay, so I'm originally from El Salvador. I didn't come to the United States until I was 8 years old in 1990. I actually lived in East Boston. I lived there for about 13 years, so from 1990 to 2003. It was in 2003 that my father bought a home and moved to Revere. At that time, I was actually in college, so I was only living here during the time that I was out of school. I ended up going to UMass Amherst. But ever since, I've lived in Revere, and I've been a resident in Revere, so it's exactly 20 years now, surprisingly.
You hear that, guys? 20 years Revere. We love Revere.
So I grew up in East Boston, went to school in East Boston, James Otis, Umana Barnes, 1 year at East Boston High. I subsequently transferred to the O'Brien in Boston, where I graduated there. Immediately after, since teachers push you to consider college, I think back and I kind of wonder why I did it, but I was just the goal to just keep going.
You
So
glad
I
you
obviously
did?
pushed myself to
Yeah.
go to UMass Amherst. I had the goal of moving out to school, but not going too far. So that was a choice that met the conditions that I lived away from home, but I also wasn't too far to come
You
back.
can come home, yeah.
There you go. Stay close to family.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then what was I going to ask? I had a couple of questions, but Amanda, do you have anything right now?
I don't think so. I think that just like learning about you, your background, and how you got into doing what you do is awesome. Like,
Actually, I do have
Yeah.
one. It just came to my mind. I have a million, but we're gonna keep it short in respect to time and community television. So, a lot of people in our area, we have a very mixed demographic. I heard you just said you're from El Salvador. Are you bilingual?
Yes, I am.
So you're able to offer your clients bilingual services.
I think it's one of the reasons that my business has been so successful. I don't want people to have picked the lawyer simply because of the
Yep.
language, and I obviously make sure that if I'm offering help, I obviously do the best I can for them. But surprisingly, I have a lot of clients throughout the state that were either referred to me or found me because of my ability to communicate in Spanish. So I'm fluent in both Spanish and English, and my partner Andrew Tang is completely fluent in Cambodian.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
So it's part of what has allowed our business to grow because we really offer diverse clienteles, the general services that they need. I mean, we handle family law,
Love it.
immigration, real estate, and then just general civil disputes, contracts, leases, consultations. It's what's led to our growth, and obviously, I'm proud of that too. And it's,
it's something to be proud of. I mean,
I would think so, yeah. Well-accomplished man. Well, I guess that's why you're on the board of directors.
Yeah.
We're a fan. And you're a family man.
Well, yes, it's a challenge, but it keeps me busy. I'm currently married and I have 4 kids, currently 13, 11, 6, and a 2-year-old.
Oh, wow.
So my wife says I probably would have been more successful if I didn't have a family, but I think it's the complete opposite. It's exactly because of my family that I've pushed myself to make sure that I can, do a good job and take care of our clients and see our business grow, because it's what motivates me to keep going. And I can say that there are challenging days where you are not necessarily in a good mood to continue, but for the most part, I am happy with what I do. I get up every day happy to go to work. My work keeps me very busy, and I'm going to keep doing it while I can.
It's awesome.
There you have it, everyone.
Yeah.
Francisco Rosa, attorney at Rosa Taing Law.
So once you're done getting your pre-approval from Steve and finishing your closing with Francisco, you can catch us next month on The Wave.